All right. So now I am actually going to get started and recreate this project using this photo and this photo. Like I said, you only had to take one. If you want to take an image from the internet, from Google, to put behind the window, that's fine too. I showed you that in the example with the jungle and the desert. I'm going to use this photo I took. And what we're going to do first is we're going to jump actually far ahead in the course to practice this really cool technique. It involves this tool over here. It's called the lasso. So if you just left click on that once so it's darkened. And I'm going to teach you your first keyboard shortcut because they save you so much time. If I want to zoom in on an area to work on, there is a zoom in tool. We can learn about that later. I'm going to teach you, I'm going to just cut ahead to what's easier to do. And with the hand that you don't use the mouse with. I'm right-handed, so my right hand is moving the mouse. My left hand is going to go to the keyboard. And with my pinky, I'm going to press down the control button. And you'll see I'm tapping it, it changes the cursor. I'm not doing that with my mouse, I'm doing that with my hitting the control button. Now, if while I hold down the control button, I hold down the space bar, it turned my cursor temporarily into a magnifying tool. I'm still holding down both buttons. So I am going to go on a part of my window that I need to select. We need to select those pixels so we can replace them. I'm going to click up here and drag down here, make like a rectangle, and that will zoom in. Now I'm holding down the left button, moving back and forth, and it's zooming in and out. I can also just click on the area, click, 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 but I don't like clicking a lot. So I just click once and move it back and forth, and it zooms in and out. Then I can let go of the buttons, and I'm back in my selection tool. I can hold down just the keyboard, or just the space bar on the keyboard, sorry. If I hold down just the space bar, it turns into a hand. Then I can click and move the screen around. So between zooming in with Control spacebar and you hold down the left mouse button, you can zoom in and out. You can also take your hands off and then just use your finger and hit the spacebar, hold it down, and then you can move the image to exactly where you want to go so it's convenient. And you don't have to keep going over here looking for a tool and switching. One thing you're going to learn in Photoshop is there's about 20 different ways to do everything. You can use a tool, you can find it up here, you can use a keyboard shortcut. There's so many ways to do it. So I'm zoomed in enough where I don't have to move it around. I can select this area. Now, if I hold down my left mouse button and drag, it makes a line. And if I just let go, it's going to go from the end of the line all the way back to where I started automatically. And it makes this selection thing. I can click on it and move it around. Doesn't seem to do anything. We want to select our pixels, but as you notice, making a straight line with a mouse is really hard. We all have a bias if we go towards the left or the right more when you're dragging. And plus, it doesn't save a lot of time. So there's a trick we're going to do. I'm going to go up to where this corner is. I'm going to click here because if I have a straight line, it can go from all the way to here to all the way to here. So all I care about is the beginning and the end. So I'm going to hold down the Alt button and click once and take my finger off the button. Now I'm not holding any button down except the ALT button. It's right next to the keyboard. I keep calling the space bar the keyboard. That's embarrassing. No, the ALT button is right next to the space bar. So that's the only button I'm holding down. I only clicked once here and it's keeping this line straight. Now it's not going to change until I click again. So if I go to this corner and click again, now it's like taking a thumbtack and sticking it in with some string. Now I can drag it all around. I can go down to here and click in this corner. And if you notice, I missed my mark. I'm going to leave that mistake there for now because I have to show you how to fix it. So I'm going to keep going to this corner. I'm going to forget about this lock. I'm going to go to this corner, and I'm going to go up to here. And then I'm going to click, and then I'm just going to let go of the ALT button. And now it's pretty well selected because it's a very straight line. Now I'm going to show you how to fix things. That's making a selection. Now don't click on anything because if I click over here, look what happens. It's gone. I have to do it all over again. So I'm going to do it a little quicker this time. Hold down ALT, click once. Sorry. I'm going to click and hold it down until I hit ALT, and then I can let go of the mouse, and I can just click on the corners. I'm going to miss it on purpose again, so I have something to fix. Go over here and go up to here. There, so now it's pretty good, but you can see I missed this area here. Details matter in Photoshop. So I'm going to zoom into this area I messed up on. Move it with the space bar so it all fits. Now I want to add this whole area into my selection. Or actually, I want to cut this part off of my selection, if you think about it. So I'm going to hold down, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to hold down the ALT button. And now there's a subtraction symbol next to it. That means I'm going to cut away part of our selection. So I'm going to click once and hold it down. And then I'm going to take, while I'm holding down the mouse, I'm going to take my finger off the ALT button and then put it back down. And now I can let go of my left mouse button. And now we have that straight line trick again. But this time, it's going to take away any extra selections that we made. So I'm going to go all the way to this corner again and click once. Beep. I'm going to come down here and go around my selection and then click and let go of everything. So now it trimmed it so it fits better. So our selection is almost perfect, except for this little area here, this area here. So here's what we're going to do. If you need to make a selection to cut out or add or whatever that isn't straight, I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to have to hold down ALT. This time I'm just going to drag and try to stay along the edges. There we go. So now it took this part off the selection. I'll hold down the space bar and move over this way. And I have to subtract out this selection. So now I'm going to hold down the ALT once and just start dragging carefully along the edges of the pixels. Now if I like sneeze or something and whoops, I make a big mistake, don't worry about it. Just keep trucking. Select out the area you need, but you have to go back to about where the beginning is and then let go. So this looks pretty good, but we got this goof here. So what we're going to do, this time we're going to hold down the shift button. Now instead of a minus sign, it's a plus. We're going to add to the selection. So I'm just going to drag on this part, bring it back, and now it's added that back in. I'm also going to add this little void right here. I'm holding down shift and dragging there. So now I'm going to hold down Ctrl spacebar, click with my mouse and drag it back and forth so I'm zoomed out. I've selected one of the window panes. That's it. For me, I went a little nuts. and I have 4 window panes I have to select, and there's some little, this is straight, but I'm going to have to use the regular lasso to go around these organic shapes here. I can use the straight line here, but then curve it here, straight line, straight line. So I'm going to zip through this as fast as I can. Now, when I go to add to the next selection, if I just click, this is going to disappear. So now I have to hold down Shift so the plus sign shows up. I'm going to left click and hold it down. I have Shift and the left mouse button held down right now. Then I'm going to hold down the Alt button, and I can let go of my left mouse button. So now I have this again. I only have to click where the corners are. So I'm going to be very careful. Click around everything. And if I make a mistake, I'll go back and fix it later. I can't see very well, so I'm going to go around this messy, and I'll fix it close up. So I'm going to go in and fix that later close up. And I'm going to let go of everything. And now I have 2 window panes selected with a little bit of things to fix here. I'm going to zoom in. We're selecting the window. So I want to add to the selection. To add to the selection, you hold down the Shift. You see a plus sign, and I'm just going to drag, try to go around this little sculpture's ears, and then select all that, and now it adds to it. If it's not perfect, like I have to add a little more here, you just go until it looks good. If I went too far, use the Alt button, and it subtracts away from a selection. So between Shift and Alt, figure out what buttons you need to use to fine-tune things. We use the space bar and the mouse to move over. I'm going to add to my selection. And I like to do a little bit at a time, because if you're doing really well and you try to do too much, then you'll make an annoying mistake. All right. And this takes patience. All right, so that's not very perfect. You can get, we're gonna learn much more about selection tools, because as you can probably figure out quickly, it's pretty important to be able to select things accurately. Today, I'm teaching you some pretty important hardcore stuff right on the first project. All right, so that's pretty close. It's not perfect, but it's good. So now we just have these 2 windows, and they look pretty easy. I'm going to hold down Shift so we don't lose our selections. We're going to add to the selection. I'm holding down Shift. I hold down the left mouse, hold down Alt, and now I can let go of the right mouse button. And now I can just click on corners. Now I didn't zoom out so the whole window fits, so I have to carefully go down like that, and the screen tries to catch up. It's a little hectic to do that. I'm just making lots of little straight clicks. And I'll cut that last little part out in a minute. Now I have to go back up, let go of everything, and now we have that window. You might have more organic shapes where you won't be holding down the Alt for straight lines. There I just dragged without holding down Alt. I just held down Shift so we could add to the selection. Hold down Shift, then Alt, then the left mouse. Whoops. If you make a mistake and it disappears, you can go up to Edit, Undo, and it'll reselect everything. I'm going to hold down Shift, then left click, then Alt, then I can let go of my mouse and click the corners. If this is really hard at first, yes, it's a little tricky to figure out what are you doing with all these buttons you're holding down with the left hand. There we go. So now I have all 4 window panes selected. This might take you several attempts. You might lose what you made. You might have to do it over and over again. Once you get to this step, it's very, very important. First of all, I'm not clicking on anything, so it disappears. I'm going to go up to the very top menus and go to Select. I have everything exactly how I want. I'm going to go to Select, Save Selection. And I'm going to call this Window. The only thing you change is the name. You hit Window, hit OK. Now it's saved the selection. I can click off and it's gone. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Because we can go up to Select, Load a selection. See, there's Save, there's Load. And then under Channel, here's your file, here's the channel. We have a channel called Window. Make sure that's selected, hit OK. Your selection is back. You won't lose it again. So if you do a lot of work, you can save it and always have it back again. Okay. So just to review, the basics is you can select with the lasso. If I want to add to the selection, I hold down Shift. I'll make a teddy bear shape. If you want to cut out of a selection, you hold down Alt. If you want to make a straight selection, you hold down Alt. You hold down the left mouse button, then Alt, then left off your finger off of the left mouse button, and then move it around and just click. What we were doing was super advanced. If we wanted to add to that, we'd have to hold down Shift, left mouse button, Alt, let go of the mouse button. Now we can do it and it adds to the selection. Or we could hold down, this is the trickiest one, hold down Alt, left click the mouse, hold it down, take your finger off Alt and put it back down, and now lift your finger off the mouse. Now it'll do straight lines that will cut away from your selection. It will subtract. Let go of everything. Now it's cut out. That's pretty advanced stuff for the first day. But that's something good that you can practice. You will be practicing that a lot. So if I wanted to select this desk, I might hold down the left mouse, hold down Alt, and then take my finger off the mouse and just keep clicking along the straight edge. Because it's not actually straight. There's all sorts of little lumps. Anyway, once you make your selection, you go up to Select and you save it. And then if you ever need it back, you just go to Load, choose the channel. You can have more than one saved selection. That's why we named it. Right now I only have one. Just hit OK. Now it's back. Whew. That's enough right there. You might need a break after this one. This might be a little stressful. All right, I'm going to stop right there for now. Make sure you go up to File, Save often. And what I want everybody to name their projects with their initials. So maybe B and then their whole last name. So your first letter, first initial of your first name, and then your whole last name. So mine will be B Jared. And then I'll call this Window Project. Let's hit Save. And now I can close it without losing everything I just did. Okay.